So Doug, thank you so much for joining us today. And Lonnie, thank you also. I'm excited to go back to our series after that week hiatus, thanks to Labor Day. We have 2 more after today as well. This is wonderful, wonderful. How are you doing, Doug?
Doing extremely well. We just have a constant drizzle here in Sarasota, Manatee area. I'm on the north side of Manatee. Just a constant drizzle all day, all night. Doesn't accumulate too much. We don't have any real flooding conditions.
Oh, you're lucky. You're lucky. Yeah, we had some pretty heavy rain down here in the Fort Myers area. Right now, it looks like it's stopped, but I think we're expected to get rain throughout most of the week. Yeah. So sunny Southwest Florida is not so sunny right now. But we are luckier than some areas of the country though right now. Yes.
Well, that's for sure. When you look at the brush fires, I've got relatives out in Oregon, and they had to evacuate.
Yeah.
Hopefully the fire isn't going to gobble up they got a landscape business.
Oh,
So
no.
they're basically on the interstate that runs north-south there. And the other families are over in Bend, and that's quite a ways from the fire, but they still have a lot of smoke toxicity.
Yes. Yeah. I have family in the San Francisco area, and they've been talking about the quality of the air a lot. So yeah, it's just not good. Lonnie, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great, and the sun is out. So,
oh, nice.
Although a couple of weeks ago it was so hot that I would have loved to have rain at that time. But I do notice that things have cooled off just a little bit. So instead of feeling like 100 degrees, it only feels like 95 degrees.
There you go. That's fall, right?
Yep. Fall in Florida.
Fall in Florida. Yeah. Well, let's see, give this another minute or so and see we have a few more attendees, and then we'll begin.
We've had a pretty good turnout.
Yes,
monitoring what we've done to the first 3. I'm number 4. And then we have 2 more coming up as part of the Monday series sponsored by the SBA.
That's
so
correct.
Looking forwards on that.
Yep. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our 4th webinar in a series of 6, as Doug just mentioned, in conjunction with the SBA South Florida District. I'd like to introduce Lonnie Koyama, who is the lead outreach and marketing specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration in South Florida. Lonnie has been with the SBA for 11 years. His duties involve fostering economic development with business organizations. In addition, Lonnie counsels businesses and connects them to resources to help them start and grow. Prior to his work with the federal government, Lonnie had a long private sector career that includes extensive management and supervisory experience with several national retailers over an area encompassing several Western states. He also served 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, where he was honorably discharged. And with that, I will turn it over to Lonnie.
Thank you, Corinne. The SBA learned about this SCORE webinar series, Close, Survive, or Thrive, several weeks ago. We were so impressed, we asked SCORE to do the series again for all small businesses in our South Florida counties. So I want to thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you've been here for the entire series. The good news is that SCORE has recorded all of these sessions. So each of these sessions in its own way is very special and has a tremendous value to you. The class today is on the business model canvas. It was developed and will be instructed by Doug Barber. In my opinion, it is one of the most important in the series because it offers you a powerful tool to look at your business and your products and services from a different perspective. Back to you, Corinne.
Thank you. Doug, if we could have the next slide, please.
Just a second. Didn't want to go.
Thank you. In today's webinar, as you participants know, you're all muted. As we mentioned, this is one of a series of 6 webinars. Please type your questions in the Q&A feature below, and we will be answering as many questions as we can after this presentation. You will all receive an email later today or early tomorrow morning that will provide you with a link to the webinar presentation. If you're having any problems, please feel free to dial the phone number below. It's also listed in the chat box. I'm proud to present Doug Barber, our presenter today and the author of this presentation. Doug has been a SCORE mentor and educator since 2009. He began his career as a builder of single-family residential homes in Western New York, where he developed several rural subdivisions with 5+ acre lots. His teaching career began at Alfred State College, SUNY, in construction management and continued in higher education. Doug has 17 years of classroom teaching and 14 years in college administration. He is currently involved in real estate in Belize. Doug, thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. There we go. What is the BMC? Business Model Canvas. It's a tactical tool. I'm just not hearing back through my earbuds. It's a tactical tool. It's a dynamic brainstorming tool. I will repeat again and again, it's dynamic. So don't work in ink, work in pencil. The business plan, on the other hand, is a detailed plan for operating your business. So your business model canvas sets the framework for a detailed business plan. Been a mentor for 11 years and have had lots of different clients. When we first started, we didn't have the business model canvas. It's a tool that was created in Europe, migrated over the United States, and we picked it up. We had one of our members that really got involved and it found out that it really was an excellent, excellent tactical tool. When I first started, everybody was worried about the detailed business plan. Let's start with the executive summary. Let's start with a lot of narrative. And for my clients, just putting pen to paper was a real challenge, let alone a lot of narrative. So with the business model canvas, we're going to be able to work in a more cryptic form. It's a dynamic tool in the sense that as we move through the business model canvas, we're going to get more information, which is going to feed back to our framework. The business model canvas applies to new businesses. I'm going to make a little adjustment here for me. Nope. Okay, they're done. I keep on bumping around. Sorry. What do I do to myself here? Business model canvas applies to a new business, evaluating and improving an existing business. So by a show of hands, if I could only find out how many new businesses were in the audience versus how many existing businesses. For a new business, you're doing a lot of brainstorming. And evaluating and improving an existing business, you're working within the constraints of that business and trying to decide whether it's close, survive, or thrive. And these programs can provide you the guidance through that decision-making process. It also can be used to complete due diligence for buying an existing business. It's a checklist. It's the entire framework of all the questions you want to ask if you were to buy an existing business. You're not just going to buy their website. You want to buy the full depth of their business, the full operation of the business. It's also an assessment for your existing business before you offer it to sale. We call it an exit strategy. The business model canvas has all the elements that you want to be looking at, that you want to buff up and clean up. So when someone comes to look to buy your business, you've got all the elements there. You're not searching for elements. It's also useful for profit and nonprofit. It's the same framework. Your customers are different in nonprofits, but it's the same framework that you're going to be using. A couple weeks ago, we had webinar number 3 with Walter McCracken. It was the SWOT analysis. Excellent, excellent place to start. It's what we ask, what my clients, I ask them to do before we get into the business model canvas. Do you know your business? Going to focus on strengths. So just kind of block out the weakness, the threats, and the opportunities right now. What are your strengths? What is your unique selling proposition? What is unique that makes people want to drive to your company? What are your competitive advantages? These are strengths. What resources do you have? What do your customers like about your product? You're going to magnify that. What do you do better than any of your competitors? What advantages do your staff members have? So working on your strengths, that's what we're going to focus on when we move into the value proposition. 9 boxes in the business model canvas. This canvas will be readily available to you on that follow-up email. So you don't have to worry about trying to sketch all 9 boxes right now. And the full set of slides are available. Value proposition. These boxes, there are 9 boxes, but you've only labeled 4, Doug. Well, that's because we're going to concentrate on the right-hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to do it in this order. 1, 2, 3, 4. The other items, the key activities, the key partners, the key resources, cost structure, revenue streams, right now, they're ancillary. But if you're not a linear thinker and these topics come up, then jot them down. Write them over there, what your key activities are, in the process of discussing this. You don't have to do this in a vacuum. Down the lower left-hand corner, score.org. Get yourself a SCORE mentor. Score.org, you go to the national website, you select, I'd like a mentor, you put in your zip code, and it puts you to the respective chapter that covers your area, at which point you have an opportunity to write in type of business, what you're looking for in terms of type of support. So you don't have to do this alone. You need someone that you can work with. So whether you have a partner for your business or a significant person in the business that's going to work with you, or again, a SCORE mentor to bounce things off. The SCORE mentor won't decide what your business is, but will ask the tough questions. Look for the loopholes. Value proposition. That's where we're going to start. It introduces you to your prospective buyers and helps make a strong first impression. Describes how your product or services improves the customer's problem. Explains to the customer why they should buy from you and not from other competitors. This is almost like the elevator pitch. You may have heard about the elevator pitch. You get 30 seconds. 30 seconds to talk to a prospective person. We're assuming we're getting on the elevator. We're going to drive up to the 3rd floor. And you got 30 seconds to introduce yourself and your business. Key terms are very important here. So you're going to introduce your prospective buyers, help make a strong first impression. Bullet number 4. Sometimes the value proposition is known as the unique selling proposition. What is it that is unique about your business? What are the unique terms, the unique activities? You want to craft a simple, concise explanation. That's what you're going to be working to do. A simple, concise explanation. I have a client right now, and she's doing a fantastic job. So we brainstormed it, gave it some time, take it home for your homework, fill in the value proposition. And when she got back to me, she had 12 bullets, 12 bullets. And I said, well, wait a minute, let's look at the 12 and see which ones are really the best, which differentiates your company, that unique selling proposition. We took the 12 and we consolidated it down to 2 bullets. 2 bullets, which were very then manageable. Craft a simple, concise explanation. It's dynamic. Same client, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but as we went through the business model canvas, we learned more things about what she wanted to do, and she had to come back through and look at that value proposition and modify it for a unique selling proposition. What is it that's going to make her business different than the others? This is Square Incorporated. You may have seen this little device. It plugs in the top of your phone. And the value proposition for Square, Square creates accessibility for credit card transactions, low price per transaction, convenience, customization of reports, risk reduction. It's easy to use. So that said, you got a couple, you're leaving it open here in this value proposition in the statement for somebody to come back after you introduce this to say, well, wait a minute. I understand credit card transactions, low price, I get that. But customization of reports, what can you do for me on my reports? This is the business I have. What are your reports going to look like? Risk reduction. What do you mean by risk reduction? So again, another client that I have that uses Square exclusively to record her income. And then her expenses are done on an Excel spreadsheet. Small business, it's manageable that way without getting into an excessive amount of bookkeeping. Easy to use, that's Square. Box number 2 was customer segmentation. A process of dividing your customers into groups based on common characteristics so companies can market to each segment respectively. Well, to start with, if you're an existing business, you've got existing customers. So there's one segment right there. And then if you're looking for new customers, that could be another segment. Treat the two differently. Allows for the selection of best communications channel for the target marketing audience. So we're just going to focus in using customer segmentation. And a couple examples here are geographic and demographic. Geographic segments based on geography. Demographic based on values, attitudes, interests, lifestyles, customers, age, gender, occupation, separating into customer segments. This is going to allow you to build the roadmap for your marketing plan. Market segmentation. When Square first started, who? Small businesses. How many? 27 million in the US. That's a lot of small businesses. I think most of them here in Florida. What are their customer segments? Initially, business owners, corporate retail, smaller outlets, kiosks, anything small. Then they started to segment them. Fashion, sports, recreation, food. Go back to where they said they would customize reports. Each of these categories may want a separate report. They also went on to say, okay, you want point of sales? We can incorporate point of sales into Square. So you're getting that information as well. The deeper you want to dive, customization-wise, they can meet you on that challenge. How does that fit with the value proposition? Square creates accessibility for credit card transactions. I got it. Low price per transaction. I got it. Convenience. Got it. Customization and reports right there. That's going to raise the question. And you want them to raise the question because you want them to start a conversation. Risk reduction. I'm not sure what that means. Isn't risk reduction risk insurance? So what this one I really liked about the value proposition is it left the door open for a conversation. And that's what you want to get into with your customers, is a conversation. It's easy to use, very easy, demonstrates on a little video on how you can use it. They did a real good job. Initially, when they went to market with this and they said, okay, how can we reach a ton of small businesses? They went and put 100 in every Square office, any Score office. All the Score offices received a package of these little devices. By themselves, they're useless unless you have a Square account. So that's what they were dangling out in front for their bait. Free Square device, then you can tie in, and you've got to get the app before you know it, you're a Square customer. Box number 3, we drop down to box number 3, 2 types of channels to reach each customer. Got to look at the communications channel and also the logistical channel. The communications channel, some people want to call it marketing. Fine, that's what we're calling it, marketing. Act as a customer touch point. Displays your value proposition. That's the bait out there. You want to get them hooked. So you've got to have a strong value proposition. Make your products and services available. Differentiation. How do you differentiate what you do? And don't use the patented terms of better quality, lower price. No. What makes you different in your field? Allow you to foster a relationship with the customer. That's what you want. You need to start a conversation. That's the goal. Start a conversation with the customer, gives you an opportunity to offer additional services and products. That's what we're trying to do with our marketing program here. Call it cross-sell, additional services and markets, expand, show them options. Logistical. How will your product or service be delivered to your customer? Got to be thinking about this. If you are a wholesale florist, then you have plants that need to be delivered. You're going to deliver them to a large box store? Are you going to deliver them to a small store? Are you going to make them available to somebody who's got a storefront? How would you deliver those plants? Logistical. How will your products or service be delivered to your customer? Retail sales. Right now, we've got the coronavirus. People are reluctant to go out shopping. So can you mail them the products and have the ties in there that say free return, returns available? That's what you need to be looking at right now. You may have to pivot on how you're delivering your service. Market research versus marketing. Marketing is the activity and process for creating, communicating, and delivering offerings that have value to the customer. Creating, communicating, and delivering. We'll talk about that, how we're going to deliver that. That's answered over on the other side. Delivering your message with the best medium possible to reach your customer segment. Print or digital? Where are we going? Market research has to do with the who, the where. You develop customer profiles by digging in with market research. Slice your customer into segments. Remember, I called this a dynamic document. So when you initially were thinking customer segments and you jotted a few down, now when you start doing your market research, you may find there's sliced a little bit differently so that you can reach them with the appropriate message. An easy one to discriminate by age. What's the age for a younger generation, middle age, older generation? You may have 3 different messages. Test with focus groups. My client, the one that had 12 bullets down to 2, she has a good idea. She loves her idea. Not my job to tell her, not sure this is going to fly. My job as score mentor is to make sure she checks all the boxes, asked all the questions. So as part of this, we tested it. We went out in focus groups. She put out a dozen questionnaires. She got 6 of them back. And these people that she was at least familiar with. She got 6 of them back. Nobody wanted to buy her service. They all expected it for free. Boy, that changed her unique selling proposition. That changed her value proposition. You had to think about this. Nobody's willing to pay for it. And these were people that she really thought would jump on the bandwagon and be willing to participate in the service. Not the case. Researching your customers and competition. Used library business resources to find free and current information. It's so important. We're fortunate in Manatee County, Sarasota County, excellent resource librarians. I'm sure you've got the same in your area. It's what they do. The resource librarian, the reference librarian, is the one that has access to the databases. Now, they're not going to do your homework for you, but they will show you how to use those databases to look for customer information, geography, zip codes, MSA, state, regional, country, demographics, age, range, income, consumer data, shopping interests, fitness, pets. How about even finding your competition? You can locate your competition in your industry, in your immediate county areas, whatever the database supports. You can also access simple business plans and research trends in the industry. I went on Google and I put in business model canvas and the name of the business or the type of business it was, and I was able to come up with some examples of what the business model canvas might look like for their business, not for your business, for their business. But at least it sparks the mind and starts thinking about what it could look like. So, obtain a library card, contact your library reference librarian, and the doors will open for you. That's what I want to call, this is a dynamic document, because the information that you gain by doing your homework is going to influence your value proposition. Customer relationships. Customer relationships. Customer relations describes how a company will engage with its customers to improve the customer experience. I had a SCORE mentor and he owned a franchise and got some feedback from a customer who gave him 1 out of 10. He said, what I did is jump on the phone and find out from that customer why and what we needed to do to improve the customer experience. And we made it right. And we gave him a couple of free service visits. And the customer turned that 1 into a 10 because of the way he was engaged. So don't ignore those Yelp criticisms. Any criticism you get, you want to look at the customer experience and feedback and assume that it's correct. Just don't shove it off and say, it's just a cranky customer. Well, 1 cranky customer is going to relate to 10 people and the word gets out. No, that's not what we want. Strong customer relationships will lead to loyal clients. They pass the word forward. You get referrals, increased sales. Recently had a experience with Home Depot. Bought an appliance. And I shopped and shopped. It was a microwave. Apparently microwaves are in a shortage right now. Black microwaves were difficult to find here. It was last month. When the microwave goes down in our household, we got a problem. We live with the microwave. Went to Home Depot, found it. This is going to work real slick. Going to deliver it on Thursday. I selected the install and then realized that because of my back injury, I'd have to remove the existing. So I canceled that install, just deliver it on Thursday. My neighbor and I will put it in. And we did. Got it in, looked great. One thing we didn't notice, it was the wrong color. My wife walks in and she goes, that's stainless steel, not black. I go out to the box and I look at the label. They dropped off the wrong one. We didn't pay any attention. We were men. We just put it up there. I called Home Depot a Saturday afternoon. I got the manager and she said, Mr. Barber, sorry about that. We'll take care of it. Monday, you'll get a phone call. Monday by noon, I had a phone call from the distributor. Said, Mr. Barber, we apologize. We got the wrong one. I said, well, I apologize because I installed it and I need it uninstalled and reinstalled. Mr. Barber, no problem. We'll take care of it. Thursday comes along, truck pulls up, nice gentleman gets out, uninstalls, reinstalls, boom, I got a microwave. Excellent customer service. I've had other experiences with Home Depot in their project management. And so I've had good experiences. Take them for what they're worth. Other people, whoa, they only use subcontractors. It's a problem. So got to look at that. But strong customer relationships, yes. Loyal clients. Apple's another one that just works very, very hard to have those strong relationships. What type of relationships would you want? Personal assistance, the Apple one-to-one with a live person. I've got the phone number taped right inside my computer here. One-to-one with a live person that stays with me until the problem is solved. And they always solve the problem. I mean, I'm a non-techie person. I need that type of support. Personal assistance, one-to-one. Can't all afford that. But in Apple's case, I paid a premium. I bought an Apple computer. Second bullet, dedicated personal assistance, where you find a specific person is assigned to handle your needs. What comes to mind is an investment firm, whether it be Fidelity or T. Rowe Price. You get an advisor. And it's a dedicated personal assistant who knows who you are when you call in and talk to that individual. Self-service. Online tools that allow the customer to serve themselves. Right now, Capital One has got their banking app. I mean, you see it several times every night. Total online services, the banking apps today. Deposit, withdraw, move money, share money to a friend. All of that is self-service with online tools. Right now, with the coronavirus, you have to make an appointment to go in and talk to a manager. If you have something that's that significant, that can't be handled with the online app. So I did a wire transfer. I had to get inside and talk to a manager. But the rest of it, all online tools. Automated services. A personalized self-service system that identifies customer preferences. Oh, this is Big Brother watching all the way. Recording everything you spend, whether it's the Amazon, or it doesn't make any difference what site it's on. Amazon is one that just always seems to know what I'm looking for and reminds me what I bought and reminds me of similar items. You haven't bought anything, but here are similar items that you might want to look at. Big Brother watching you there with automated services. Communities. Developing a community, it's a Q&A between customers that's also monitored by somebody from the company, where the customers can share experiences and you can actually do a search on your concern to see what other customers had and what the answers were. And when appropriate, a professional will chime in and tell you some answers. The ring system, I've got Property and Belize. We've got our ring system set up. They now have state-of-the-art internet where I live. And I can monitor the 4 cameras. I had problems with those cameras down there. I went on the Q&A between customers and found out similar problems other customers had. And it was responded to by a professional from Ring. Problem solved, less time spent by a Ring going one by one, but I got the answer that I needed. Customer relationships. How are you going to develop your customer relationships? Okay, we've been over on the right-hand side of the box here. Value proposition, customer segments, channels, customer relationships. As we develop this and refine it, we do our research and our customer segments start to morph, our value proposition may also morph. It's dynamic, in pencil. So you're going to have to focus that. Whether you take a complete pivot, I don't know. We've got to look at that. Channels, again, as you get more information on your customer segments, it's going to modify your channels. Over on the left-hand side, more of the structure. Key activities, key resources. We're going to march through these key partners, cost structure, revenue streams. You may have brainstormed and jot some notes down, but here's our time to focus on it a little bit. Key activities, core competencies. That's what key activities mean to me. Core activities. What are your core competencies that you're going to produce in your company? Operations and production. Or you're going to sub the entire fabrication of your product out. Cost control. That's probably one you want to keep close to the vest. Sales. You could do sales centrally or disperse it out. Marketing. How are you going to market? Is it a core competency of your organization? Website construction and operation. That can be significant. That can be a lot of work. You have a passive website where you put up a web page, and I call it passive. It doesn't change. But that doesn't drive organic traffic. You need a website that's dynamic if you're going to drive organic traffic, the free traffic. People are going to be looking for you, and you're going to raise your ranking within the Google system. How it's constructed and the constant operation of the website. New product and service development. Typically, they're your ideas, they're in-house. Question is to outsource or self-perform. My best example of this is I was working with a carpenter, and he was down here from the Midwest, coming down for some sunshine. His background was construction, so he's a do-it-yourself guy. As far as he was concerned, all of these, he was going to do them all. Well, what he found out was that building knickknacks and cupboards and built-ins, there's a lot of competition. A lot of competition in the Sarasota, Manatee area. By accident, somebody asked him to build a control panel for a fishing boat. Geez, my dad and I worked on boats when I was up in Michigan. Why not? And he built a simple little control panel. That guy then passed the word on and said to another guy, you know, he can replace that back section where you got all those rods, put a nice 5/4 teak panel in there. That led to the next one. By the way, can you do my entire control panel and install the new electronics? He says, yeah, I just taking the electronics out, building the wood panel, putting them in. What he developed was a specialty. He did boat repairs and boat modifications. That's what he does. He is operations and production. It's a one-man shop. We keep on trying to get outside of that, but because you're working in a boat, nothing is square, nothing is plumb. The challenges of working in one and working in an expensive yacht where you have to be very careful about the customer's furniture, the whole inside of the boat, dust control. He's still a one-man shop after 3 years. What he does is operations, production, and cost control. What he outsources is marketing and website construction and operation. He has a gentleman that works and does a dynamic website. My client's responsible for the active blog, takes pictures of the work that he's doing, puts it on the blog, helps his ranking within Google, but the entire construction and operation, not what he does. Marketing is tied into that. but he also has the marketing where he has to work on foot. What he's done is he works 4/10s. He beats the traffic in the morning. After the traffic comes back at night, he works 4/10s, 4 days a week. He is production and operations. 1 day a week, he is sales. And he's always looking for new places, new yacht clubs, new opportunities where he can do the work, trying to build up enough backlog that he could bring on an assistant and train an assistant and have to pay a pretty good buck to do that. So that's kind of key activities, what he has done. And you've got to decide, are you going to be able to do it all? Too many times people make the mistake of saying, I'll build the website and operate the website and do the SEO on the website. Maybe better to outsource than self-perform. Key resources. What do you need to do your business? Physical buildings and equipment. Is that important? If you're a retailer, then you have to have a storefront. Or do you? Or can you do the whole thing on E? Contractors, typically service people, usually need a building, equipment, vehicles. Again, depending on your business, what are your physical key resources? Financial, investment, line of credit, intellectual property, patents, trademarks, trade secrets. These are your key resources. What comes to mind is the Corning ink, Corning glass. They put a huge amount of effort into their intellectual property, constantly looking for trademark and patent infringements, because that is what's the core of their business. And right now it's flat screen TVs, making the glass for flat screen TVs. And they want to keep that as the core of their business. Technology, that's an important part. Human resources, key resources, having the right people. Again, putting my construction hat on, half the people that come to me say, I am dying, I need additional labor. I said, what are you offering them? Well, I offer a minimum wage. Well, that's not going to cut it. Human resources, look at your entire package. If you want to hire good people, you have to make it attractive to good people. Key partners. Partnerships with key vendors, strategic partners are essential. Vendors, when you're working with a vendor, and again, it depends on the type of industry that you're in, but vendors can give you market information, market research, marketing support. Read that $, put their logo on whatever you're doing, you got marketing support. Employee training. If there's some technical aspect, employee training. I'm thinking of air conditioning right now where it's constantly new equipment coming online and there needs to be some employee training. Well, if you'd like to carry our line, we'll support you with employee training. Credit terms, vendors and credit terms, very important source of cash flow. How quickly do you have to pay for the service or the merchandise you're bringing into your store? Source of cash flow. Once upon a time, it used to be net 30. 30 days, you paid the full amount. I also was able, as a contractor, to get a 10% discount, 15. So in 15 days, I could get it was a 2% discount. 2% discount in 15 days, which builds up over 12 months if you have a constant source of materials coming from a supplier. It improves your cash flow. More recently for builders, that 30-day net turned into 2 weeks, 15 days net. And at times it's even shorter than that. Cash gets you your best price. Credit terms from your vendors. Just-in-time inventory as a source of cash flow. What we're trying to do is reduce the inventory on the shelf, minimize it, but you have to have a really good supplier So when you put your order in, you know you're going to get a timely response and receipt of the materials, just-in-time inventory. But it reduces the amount of money you've got tied up in your inventory, improving your cash flow. Key partners. Strategic partners. Alliance between businesses serving the same segment but non-competing products. And the pet stores, the veterinarians, the groomers, yes, some big stores offer all of these services integrated under one roof, but when you're a small guy, you may want to come up with an alliance so that you're working with the veterinarian to provide groomer or boarding. Not all veterinarians board, but if you had a boarding service, then you move that and promote that through the veterinarian's office. Alliance between competitors. This was interesting when I was doing my research. Last mile delivery agreement between USPS, United States Postal Service, FedEx, and UPS. So it may be that your package is mailed via UPS, but delivered the last mile through USPS. They've got these elaborate algorithms that figure out what is the least expensive way to deliver your package. So that's a combination of USPS, FedEx, UPS, moving it back and forth. The bulk of our mail that actually flies on FedEx. That was one of the founding blocks of the FedEx business, was moving mail. Joint ventures for a source of capital. Risk sharing, additional skills, joint ventures. Well, I've got to put my construction hat in because it's easy to see how this works in this highway building. Florida Department of Transportation just let a contract for improvement of the bridge across the Manatee River into Ellington. It's a mess. It's a logjam. Florida Department of Transportation has so much on the boards that they can no longer design these. So they're going to ask for proposals for joint ventures that will do the design and the build. So we're talking about an engineering firm that's going to work with a construction firm to design and build the new bridge across the Manatee River. You see it every day in your backyard. These joint ventures. Typically road builders are not bridge builders. And yet we're in Florida, we got a lot of bridges. So when they let out a segment to be rebuilt on a highway on I-75, you're gonna find that they're joint ventures. There'll be a principal, but he's gonna joint venture with a secondary. Capital, risk sharing, additional skills. That's what we're gonna do with joint ventures. So maybe a joint venture is an appropriate fit for your company. This is so important, key partners, and that's why I pulled these out and made separate slides on them here, because support network, family and friends, gotta have that foundation. If you're a new business and you haven't filed a tax return, and you're starting out with a lot of questions, family and friends are so important. The encouragement that you get from your family and friends. I know because I had a super support system when I started my construction business. Very tolerant wife, bookkeeper, and my in-laws, a lot of encouragement as I moved into the construction process. Slowly started as a pickup truck contractor, and then got a little bigger and a little bigger. My accountant, I put him second on this list because for me, my accountant was very important. My accountant had great financial advice and also organizational advice. I started out as a proprietorship. As soon as I got big enough, he moved me over to an S Corp to protect my assets. So we created an S Corp. At one point, we started land development, and we created a C Corp. He just knew there were certain advantages besides insulating that investment, which was a high risk investment. He liked the way that was going to be set up. C Corp, S Corp. Okay. In addition, we also had a family LLC, which we then sheltered some of the family money in as we built a spec home. Banker lender. Banker lender. Get to know who your banker is. At SCORE, we've had a lot of success with our local bankers. Local bankers, the ones that tend to be in their office 5 days a week, and they're there year after year. They get to know who you are. Work a banking relationship with them, meaning your accounts with a banker that'll talk to you. Put your business accounts with them, put your family accounts with them. Got a mortgage? Consider them for your mortgage. Got to buy a vehicle? Need a loan? Consider them. So you end up with a relationship. Story behind that one, I had a client, they were in the red. I mean, they were in the red. It was a construction client who really wasn't a good contractor. May have been a good finish person, not a good contractor. And they're running in the red. And the solution was they were going to get a line of credit. I'm going, you got to be crazy. Nobody's going to give you a line of credit. Well, they went to the bank that held their mortgage, never missed a payment, had 2 cars, never missed a payment, got their line of credit. I'm thinking, wow, I just can't believe that they looked at the financials and did that. But they had a relationship and they had a good line. They got their line of credit. The attorney is number 4 behind the accountant. The accountant actually had more ideas on how to be organized than my attorney did. The attorney, there are 2 types. There are transaction attorneys and litigation attorneys. There are 2 types of attorney here. The transaction attorney is the one that's going to create the LLC for you, or the S Corp, or the C Corp. There's just a methodology that they use to create these. They ask you a bunch of questions, fill in the blanks, boom. They can get it registered, pay the fees, dot the I's, coach you on what you have to be legitimate. It's the attorney role. A litigation attorney, a couple of times I got sued. That's when my relationship to my attorney became a litigation relationship. What do I do? In one case, I was being sued by an insurance company, and his advice was very straightforward. He says, you know what? They got an infinite number of lawyers with very deep pockets. I suggest you pay what they want. That was a fine, like $2,500. But I didn't feel that I owed it. He says, look, best thing to do is to pay it. Take my advice. And I did. Insurance broker. Okay, now we got to stand back and get a clear picture. Your insurance guy should get a clear picture of who you are and what services you provide, what your risks are. Are you simply in a store, a retail store? Then you want your liability to cover that, your fire insurance or renter's insurance, product that you have in the store. If you're a service, now you're talking about probably a vehicle. You're talking about being on the road. We've got to talk about, for your insurance, what they're going to want for regular testing for your people that are driving for you. Insurance brokers will get a good handle on what coverages you need and make recommendations. So I rely on my insurance broker to make sure that I was fully covered. Was never a problem. And lastly, the SCORE mentor. I'm a broken record. I was a college professor, and I'll repeat it over again. SCORE.org in the lower left-hand corner. Go to SCORE.org, check the box, request a mentor, put in your zip code, fill out the form, and explain what it is that you're doing and what type of support you need. That can be your best friend. We talk about SCORE being there from the birth of your business through the operation of your business to the exiting of your business. And we've had those examples repeatedly on some of the shorter business that were created and actually sold to another business because they were successful. SCORE mentor. They aren't going to tell you what to do. They're going to ask the difficult questions. Make sure you've got good, solid answers. So you're a good foundation as you move forwards. Key partners, the support network. Revenue stream. Ka-ching, that's all I want to say. Transactional sales, ka-ching. I want a picture of a big old-fashioned cash register here. Transactional sales. Grocery store, transactional sale, right? Retail sales, going in and buying slacks, shirts. Ka-ching, out the door. Reoccurring sales. Now, this is a good one to get into. Subscription. Was once upon a time, you could buy some software packages, Quicken. You could buy the package and it was good and they would support that package for 5 or 6 or 7 years. No longer. They want to sell you a subscription. Every year you renew your subscription to get that continued support. If you don't, the product doesn't get supported. Microsoft has now gone that. It used to be you could buy Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Now you buy a membership, Microsoft 360, 365, and that gives you access to their software programs. Membership, gym membership, that's right there. Costco's got a membership with a gradation on membership, basic, second level, gives you some privileges, third level, gives you money back on your card. Usage fees. UPS. I thought about this one again and doing my research. I'm going like, UPS? Yeah, think about it. You're asking them to provide a service to take your package from point A to point B. Keep it in good shape. It's a usage fee. You're using their trucks, their people, their planes to move that package. Whenever I go in to mail a package, my comment is, yeah, I could never drive there and back for that kind of money. So yes, it may be a little bit pricey, but I know it's going to get there safely and a lot less cost than it would cost for me. Lending, leasing payments over time, reoccurring sales. I'm into vehicles, leasing. If you happen to be in that business, could be trucks, could be equipment, payments over time. There's always a risk when you're out there and you're holding the note and you're hoping that the person you sold to is going to take care of that property the same way you would take care of the property. Always a challenge. Revenue stream. Cost structure. How are you set up? Fixed costs that are not dependent on the level of goods or services produced. Let's take the retailer for a minute. What do you have to open a retail store? First, you got to rent the store. Okay, money down. Then you're going to work on improving the inside, including shelving, which is not inexpensive. And then we're going to work on signage on the outside. We haven't done anything yet. We haven't sold the product, and we're the first month are just outfitting the store, making it so it's easy and inviting for people to come in. We can display our products. Next, variable costs. Once we have that store built, then we talk about the variable costs that vary with the level of goods and services. Your fixed costs are amortized over your variable income. So if you can have lots of sales, then a fixed cost becomes a lower portion of that. In seminar number 2 with Henry McCabe, Assess Your Financial Situation, does an excellent job of digging down and looking at your costs, your fixed costs, your variable costs, and how you can tighten the screws up, delete some, reduce some, eliminate some. That's delete, I know. But that's what you want to be looking at. And Henry's worksheets do a great job. In the case of an existing business, you're going back and looking at 3 years prior, building your spreadsheet, and then you got this Corona thing that happens that destroys the 2020 numbers. But then you have to go forwards and you have to say, all right, what modification can I do to my spreadsheet here and modifications to my business that will allow me to survive? That's the first question. Remember, close, survive, or thrive. Can I survive? Looking at my fixed costs, my variable costs, looking at what I've got in place, making all the adjustments. Can I level this out so I can survive? Do I need to pivot? Is there an opportunity to pivot and thrive? But it's done with an analysis of your financial situation. Well, I talked about existing business. New businesses get to be tougher. If you just started in January, you don't have 2 or 3 years of data to look at. Matter of fact, you've got a very, very short window. You just have your initial couple of months of operating expenses before the virus hit. Depending on the industry, you may have closed down altogether. And then the question is, how much do you have in the savings account to bully through? That's all done with the spreadsheet that Henry McCabe has described in webinar number 2, trying to get a handle on your costs and whether you're going to survive and whether you can pivot or not and thrive. Cost-driven, focusing on minimizing investments, cutting the frills. This is a cost-driven model, and the best example of that is Southwest Airlines. How do they do it? How does Southwest have the lowest airfare? They do it by cutting the frills out. You know that from the moment you're board. Every seat's the same. They're all the same price. They throw a couple options in there, but they've done a great job. They know that the way they make money is to keep their planes in the air. So they are focused on flying, keeping planes in the air. Their turnaround time is very, very short. Value-driven, focused on providing maximum value to the customer. Apple, to me, that's a great example. Maximum value to the customer. When you've got all that support material that comes to you through Apple, direct phone lines, internet support, their ability to get into your computer with your permission to look at it, value-driven. Okay, let's go from cost structure 2 back to the business model canvas. Here we are. Just check the time here. Here we are, the business model canvas. That's an overview. It's dynamic. You're going to have a follow-up email, which will include a PDF BMC with BMC notes. This is a list of SCORE resources that are available. No, you don't have to write it down right now because that follow-up email will include this PowerPoint presentation. So these are resources that are available, SBA programs that are available, CDC guidelines for your business, all available. And this says Lee County, but every county has the equivalent to support your business. Lonnie, we there?
Here I am.
There you are, Ellen. And Lonnie's going to work with SBA resources.
Thank you, Bob. Doug. Thank you, Doug. That was a great presentation. And I was taking notes, and I need to do some follow-up on my own. Folks, there are some, here's some local resources to help you find help at this time. The very first link at the top will show you some of the SBA resource partners. So if you go to that top link and plug in your zip code, it will take you to a SCORE office or perhaps a Small Business Development Center office or an SBA office that's in your area. It will show you which one is closest to you geographically, even though we're all operating virtually. The second link is to find out about upcoming webinars and other events from the SBA. So if you go to that second link and plug in your email address, it will keep you up to speed on things going on with the South Florida District Office. The third link will take you to the information about disaster loans. One of the questions that came across, a couple of questions came across when you were registering and people were asking about any funds still available for disasters. So we are still taking applications for economic injury disaster loans. And so that third link will take you to that. If you're a Twitter user, you could follow us on Twitter. And then at the bottom there are YouTube videos from the SBA. Next slide. This next slide shows you the two upcoming sessions in the that are the last two parts of this 6-part series. These last two are still very important in this series. The next one has to do with marketing. And one of the big failures I see with many small businesses has to do with marketing and not having a presence. I'm an old guy, and when I first started in business, your only means of marketing was the Yellow Pages. And some of you are old enough to remember the Yellow Pages, and some of you aren't. But the Yellow Pages, I hated them because they had a monopoly on marketing for the most part. But these days, you need to know how to market in many other ways, whether it's having a presence on Google or some of the other websites that are out there. You must have a presence on the internet. And then the very last session that we're doing in the 6-part series has to do with legal issues that are taking place, particularly related to COVID-19. So right now, I think we're out of time, but Corinne, what are we doing about questions?
We will answer any questions that anybody has in the next few minutes.
All right. Well, a couple of questions came across. I mentioned the one about the economic injury disaster loans. Another question came across about whether these webinars will be presented in Spanish. And right now they are being translated in Spanish. So for some folks, if you want to know about Spanish versions, the SBA in coordination with SCORE is going to be doing these presentations in Spanish too. I don't really have dates for that at this time. Another thing I need to let you know about is after this series ends, on Mondays at noon, after the series ends, the SBA is going to continue to use that time slot. And we're going to continue to do presentations starting with SBA programs. And then every Monday at noon, we will go on with other specifics related to SBA programs, such as SBA loans, which are done through banks. We're also going to do one on federal government contracting, resource partners, and other SBA programs. So that's it. Back to you, Corinne.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we have no more questions. So Doug, thank you so much for your informative presentation. Lonnie, thank you so much for hosting with us. And we will be back again next Monday at noon for Marketing on a Dime. Thank you, everyone.